We've looked at a couple of ITX boards on the channel so far, but today we're looking at the ROG Strix B650E-I gaming Wi-Fi, and I'll tell you all about the reason why after I quickly pay some bills with this video sponsor.
NZXT's new Kraken and Kraken Elite Aero cooler range uses their CAM software to customise their display. You can now add custom images and GIFs to the standard Kraken, plus if you wish add an infographic such as stats and temps of your PC. For the Kraken Elite, you now have support for up to 60 FPS GIFs with a whopping 8,000 colours over the previous 256, and by some NZXT wizardry, it also uses less of the CPU too. Magic. So if you have a Kraken or Kraken Elite in your PC, then get updating, but if not, now there's even more reason to get your hands on one. Visit the link in the description box below to learn more.
So as you can tell, alongside the board I have got a range of processors here. These are the new AMD 8000 series that were kindly sent out by AMD and Scan Computers UK. They sell a whole host of different components. They also have their 3XS pre-built systems, pro audio, video gear, DJ stuff, instruments. There's a massive range of different things. I'll link them in the description box below if you want to check them out. So along with AMD, they've kindly sent out these, and also this ITX board. This is one of a few things they've actually sent, but I wanted to do an overview on this because these boards are very popular, and we looked at the B760-I before, and a lot of people might want to see the AMD counterpart. So this is this one. This is currently £239 on offer as well, and it's about £30 more than the Intel counterpart, but does offer a lot more. Let's get the board out, put that to the side for the minute, see what we've got underneath. First up, we have looks like a USB 2 header to 2 additional headers. Being that an ITX board is only 170mm square, there's only so much you can do with the I/O, so having adapters obviously is another way around that to give you a bit more functionality. So we've also got a keychain, ROG keychain. We see this with most motherboards. There's some zip ties. We've also got the Wi-Fi antenna. This has Wi-Fi 6E built in, also Bluetooth 5.2. We've got a quick latch for an M.2, and then there's also an additional screw for the other side. We've got another thermal pad included. Really nice thing to see, especially if you're swapping drives in and out like I am all the time. But for someone else that's going to leave it in there, you may not need it, but it is nice to have an additional one. Got another packet in here. Let's see what we've got in this one. So this is a little front panel adapter. You can do all of your front panel stuff onto one block, much like we see like with NZXT and Fractal cases. We've got a couple of SATA cables, one of which is right angled. Then we've got our usual documentation and things. So we've got information about warranty, quick start guides. There's some stickers as well, some nice shiny ones. And then also a big thick manual. And here we have the B650E-I. First impressions is actually quite heavy for an ITX board, but we have got very thick metal up by the VRM, which is going to help passively cool. There's also a little active fan in there as well. You can just about see that through the gap. You can see it through the little grill as well. I don't know if it will pick it up on camera or not though. We got our socket, of course, AM5, so we've got support for 7000 and 8000 series processors. All of the BIOSes should be updated by the time you go to buy one, but if not, it does have a BIOS flash button, so you can easily do it without needing to enter the BIOS anyway. It's also got a 10+2+1 power stage. So let's have a look around the board itself. On the top left, we have got an 8-pin for EPS power. We've got 3 4-pin headers. One's the CPU fan, you've got an AO pump, and then a system fan. But what I've done is use the adapters like 1 to 3, for example. They still work with PWM. I've never had any issues with those either. Next up, we've got a 5V addressable RGB header. That's the ASUS ROG STRIX Gen 2. We've also got the standard 12V next to it. Going around, we have our 24-pin for motherboard power. We've got our USB header. That's where you can use your splitter, so you can get 2 headers off of a single one. We've got 2 SATA 6GB ports. There's a USB Type-C there, which is a USB 3.2 Gen 2. We've also got a USB 3.2 Gen 1 for your standard Type A ports. And then there's our front panel connectors on there. You can also use that adapter if you want to make life a bit easier. At the bottom, we have got a reinforced PCIe Gen 5 graphics card slot. So when Gen 5 graphics cards are available, we can make use of that. And then above, we've got our NVMe slots. Let's have a look at these. So taking off that heatsink, fairly chunky, and you have got a thermal pad underneath that. Remember to take off the tape before you actually install your drive. And then the same for the bottom of there. We've got another thermal pad, and that will take up to an 80mm Gen 5 drive on this, so you can do Gen 5 graphics and a Gen 5 storage. So that's a great benefit with using AMD. You have 24 PCIe lanes, so you can do both without having to impact one of the other's performance. I love the way that ASUS are stacking things now to get more on the boards. I think that's really cool. We've also got another M.2 slot on the back, and that can take up to 110mm drive at Gen 4 speeds. So just screwing that back down, here's a fairly thick piece of aluminium as well, so we'll see how well that dissipates heat, as I have got a Gen 5 drive to actually put in it. We've also got the front audio header on the bottom left of the board there, Then the last thing to talk about before we look at the rear I/O is our DIMM slots. That will support up to 192 gigabytes of DDR5, up to 8000 megahertz. That's DOCP or Expo. You can obviously push it higher if you want to do it manually. Last but not least, we've got the rear I/O. We've got two USB 2 ports on the left-hand side. One of these is for the BIOS if you do update with the flash button. There's the HDMI, which is 2.1, so if you're going to use these with the 8000 series processor, you can plug straight into that. We've got 4 red USB ports. These are USB 3.2 Gen 2, so 10 gigabits per second. We've got a Type-C, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2 as well, so another 10 gig. Then we have got a 2x2, so that's a full 20 gigabits per second. We have got a 2.5 gig LAN, and then we've got our Wi-Fi 6E antennas. Like I said, it's also got Bluetooth 5.2. Here's the BIOS flash button if you need to update for 8000 series. We've also got a flex key button, some audio options, and then finally an SPDIF out. I use the term feature rich when I talk about motherboards, and this is certainly one of them, especially in the ITX form factor. Gen 5 support for drives and graphics cards, and then also being that it's AM5, you have got a really nice upgrade path. They've promised support for 10 years worth of CPUs, and unlike the B760, you've got 12th, 13th, 14th gen, and that's your limit, and then you're going to have to buy a new board, whereas this one will keep supporting for years to come. So we'll link this down in the description box below if you want to pick one up. Of course, big thank you to Scan for sending this out for me to look at, and all the processors as well. I'm looking forward to testing all these as I get subscribed and ding the bell so you don't miss that. That will be up very soon. Then also my little H1 build will be next week as well if you're watching this, and if you've been looking forward to that, I'm going to get around to that one finally. So thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Any more questions, leave them in the comments box. I'll get back to you. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.